Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. Tider Insider TV, brought to you by Visit Tuscaloosa.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome into the latest edition of Tider Insider TV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. Victory Tuesday, we like those. I'm Gary Harris. He's Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. And the Vanderbilt Commodores certainly know who they are. They came in with an identity and confidence, not just confidence, a little bit of arrogance, I thought, Rodney. For Johnny-come-latelys, these guys were talking about winning the game and blowing Alabama out in the process, several of them. But Alabama showed a lot of resilience in hanging in there in the first half when they didn't play that great. And in the second half, I thought Alabama really made a statement in that second half. It was, in my opinion, the best half of football this season. I know a lot of people say the first half against Georgia. I get that. But in this second half, offensive line of scrimmage, they controlled it. Defensive line of scrimmage, they controlled it. They turned Vanderbilt over. Vanderbilt had the one drive that ended in an interception that they could have taken a lead, but outside of that, they didn't do much on offense. But in the first half, Rodney, Vanderbilt was up 7-0 on the process of going up 14-0 when Justin Jefferson forced that big fumble on Pavia. And I don't know what would have happened if it got to 14-0 Vanderbilt, and I'm glad I didn't have to find out.
Key play. I think that was really kind of set things in motion in a positive way for Alabama.
Bama tied it up 7-7 on the Ryan Williams touchdown catch. Then Vanderbilt went back out in front 14-7 without a minute and a half to go. Bama went down and scored. Beautiful throw from Simpson to Bernard.
The key here, I thought, Gary, were the timeouts. When Vanderbilt was down about to score. Looked like, the clock could trickle down. Kalen DeBoer saved some clock. They had enough time to go down and get that score to tie it up.
Talking about the defense, they got gashed in the first quarter. 113 yards rushing by Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt got 22 yards the rest of the game. I don't know what adjustments were made, Rodney, but they worked. And as I said, in the second half, you got to give it to Alabama for controlling the line of scrimmage. This was a line of scrimmage game. Vanderbilt wanted to control the clock just like they did last year, play from ahead. Alabama wouldn't let them. Alabama flipped the time of possession based on what happened last year. They won the turnover battle. They outrushed Vanderbilt in the end and got the victory.
Well, we talked about it last week, how big time of possession would be. We talked about the 42 minutes that Vanderbilt had it last year. Guess what? They had it 22 minutes this time. Alabama has it over 37 minutes, really dominated the time of possession, ran the football really well. Jam Miller had a big day with 136 yards rushing. And, again, I'm with you, Gary. I thought it was just a team effort.
Yeah, 486 total yards for Alabama on offense. And let's talk about Jam Miller specifically, because we know how well Ty Simpson has been playing. You got to get the running game going in the SEC. And they did enough against Georgia, did enough in the first half of this game. But in the second half, Jam Miller, some of those 3- and 4-yard runs started going for 8, 10, 12, and eventually he busted the long touchdown. He had 136 yards on 22 carries. Alabama gets that kind of run production from him, they're going to be hard to beat.
They are. I tell you, the balance there. And we talked about it against the Georgia game. Some people said, hey, he didn't run the ball well against Georgia. We talked about, no, those 2, 3, 4, 5-yard runs were pretty good, actually. And then in this game, they stayed committed to the run game. The interior, that was really surprised me, Gary. I didn't expect Alabama to have that much success on the interior running the football, but they were really impressive.
I want to say something about the kicking game, too. John Doughty missed a field goal in the first half and didn't look good on that kick. And remember, he had the shank against Georgia for whatever reason, but came back in the second half and hit 3. Those 3 field goals were huge. The third one got Alabama a 9-point lead, which was a 2-score lead. So the kicking game, the coverage team was good, the return team was good, and I thought Doughty bounced back and had a big second half as well.
He did. I think he missed a 47-yarder early, but he came back, hit some within his range, a couple of 30-yarders, hit a 38-yarder. And again, he does have the range to kick long. There's no question about that. Just the consistency there is something that you really have to work on.
And we mentioned Justin Jefferson forcing that fumble that was huge in the game, because if it got 14-0, it could have been a different story. 14 tackles. SEC Defensive Player of the Week. His best game since he's been at Alabama.
I thought his speed.
Yeah.
He had the ability to run Pavia down a couple of times. And, look, I will say this about the defense just real quick. Really impressive because, we've seen some times against these running quarterbacks. They got out of the pass rush lanes. They seem kind of disoriented at times. But, look, I thought they played with a lot of confidence, a lot of speed, and they really, really did a number on Pavia.
I was impressed, too, with Alabama before the game. In the summer, after Castellanos had said that Dick Saban wouldn't be there to save him, they couldn't stop me, Alabama said, well, we'll address all disrespect. It kind of came back to bite them. They didn't say anything this week. They just said, you know what, we're going to do our talking on the field, and they did, 30-14. Crimson Tide gets to 2-0 in the SEC, which is huge, headed up to Como this weekend. More on that in a moment. But right now it's time for Coach Talk. Alabama's running game, as we said, showed a lot of life against Vanderbilt, led by Jim Miller. The Crimson Tide averaged more than 5 yards per carry against the Commodores, which is a good defensive unit. Offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb says the running backs showed up not just, though, in terms of rushing yards, but in all facets of the game.
We had a couple missed tackles forced in the game. So I think that part, and then just being really, really sound on their pass protection, which Jam is all the time. I mean, he is as solid as they come in there, and understanding both scheme and, just being physical at the point of attack. So for us, I think Jam kind of setting the tone there and really wanting to show that we can run the football was something that he took very personal.
Jam Miller, the first Alabama running back to rush for over 100 yards since Game 2 last year, so that was big. Also, Rodney, I want to mention that, it's kind of in SEC play. It's been Jam Miller and Kevin Riley. That's been the rotation. Not seeing 3 or 4 or 5 running backs, but also the crispy package with Caden Proctor. We saw him on 4th and 1. Now it takes a lot of confidence to give it to 360-pound tackle, but he took a hit there. He took a hit in the backfield.
So wait a minute. Did you say the crispy package? Have I missed something? Is that is that what you call it?
That's the word. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it's called the crispy package, but whatever it is, it's
Look at that.
And you know what too? Yeah. He's playing so much better at left tackle. Let's be clear on this. He's still left tackle first, but this is a lot of fun.
Look, it is, but it's gotten him a lot of notoriety too.
Yeah, and he did it. He got a first down against Georgia and a 1st and goal. He gets first down on a 4th and 1 there. 6'7", 366 is his listed weight, but we're told he's now under 360, down at 359. But good for him and good for Alabama, Rodney, to get this win. So a lot of momentum now, but it's only for a week, because when Alabama goes on the road this Saturday, a loss there, you know what? And you're back on the other side of it. You'll be 2-1 in the SEC, 2 losses overall, so a big one coming up. And still to come, we will talk about that game against Missouri and also Bama football recruiting. Hey, you win recruiting, man, people shoring up commitments, getting new commitments. And as I said, we're going to look ahead to this Saturday when the Tide travels to number 14 and undefeated Missouri with one of the best running backs in the country. You talk about a running game, Alabama's defense will be tested. That is for sure. Plus, in a little bit later on, we were going to get to your phone calls, emails, and tweets. As always, that phone number, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Go ahead and call in now, Tider Insider Nation, or you can email us as well at the address on your screen. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. The award-winning Tider Insider TV will return after this. We're back on TITV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. Alongside Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. It's a week-to-week league. Vanderbilt was a really nice win. By the way, Rodney, did you know, let me double check this real quick. I just want to make sure I'm right here. Somebody sent this to me just a little bit earlier. Make sure I'm correct. The ESPN Game Day with the Vanderbilt Commodores and Alabama Crimson Tide, the second most watched regular season episode ever.
Wow. It's amazing.
This isn't your grandfather's Vandy, is it?
It's incredible.
Okay. But it was a big game and a big win and game day and all that. But you know what? You cannot rest on your laurels, because the test coming up for the Crimson Tide this Saturday, I think, is even going to be more difficult. They travel to number 14, 5-0 Missouri at Farrat Field there in Como. The Tigers are coming off a bye week, too. You got to add that in. And they're led on offense by their head coach, Eli Drinkwitz. You thought, and Vanderbilt does love to run the football, but there's hardly anybody in the country running any better than Missouri right now. Ahmad Hardy, who is from Monticello, Mississippi, Lawrence County High School. Nobody in the SEC recruited him. Wound up going to ULM for a year, transferred into Mizzou. He had over 1,300 yards last year for the Warhawks. Now he's got over 700 yards and 9 touchdowns. He's averaging over 7 yards a carry in 5 games. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate. Their quarterback, Bo Perella, the transfer from Penn State, who came in to be the full-time starter when Sam Horn went down in Game 1. They were going to split time. He's a physical kid. He's throwing the ball a lot better than I think people thought that he would. But the running game, Ronnie, is their bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Ahmad Hardy. Again, you gave out his numbers. He's averaging 7.1 yards a carry. Then they bring Jamal Roberts in. He's averaging 7.3. These guys, they're hard to tackle.
Yeah,
they are number 1 in the country in yards picked up after contact. Gary, 70% of their yardage has come after contact.
It's impressive.
It's tackling.
Yeah.
Alabama's going to have to tackle.
Yeah, I saw a couple runs today where there was nothing there. Yeah. And Hardy he ran over a defensive lineman.
Him.
And let's talk about Prabhu, the quarterback, because this is a guy whose reputation at Penn State was he couldn't throw the football. He's completing nearly 70% of his passes, 1,203 yards, 9 touchdowns. If he's able to throw the ball to complement that running game, they're very difficult to defend.
He's a good athlete.
Yeah.
He can move around. Well, he doesn't have a lot of rush yards, but he's got the ability to run, to move around. He's a big kid. He's tall. Like you said, he's completing 75% of his passes right now. I think he's 110 out of 145, 1,200-plus yards. Yeah. You mentioned the touchdowns. He's only got 3 interceptions. They have a receiver. I know a lot of Alabama fans remember Kevin Coleman. We talked about him a lot on TITV. He was a 5-star at one time out of St. Louis that some people thought would end up here. Ended up at Jackson State and now is transferred. Of course, at Missouri, he's their leading receiver. So, yeah.
Just like last week with Vanderbilt, this is a team that runs the football and controls the clock. Their time of possession, 37 minutes, 29 seconds to 22:31. So
that's a key.
Yeah.
It's a real key. And look, defensively, you talk about running the football, they only give up 62 yards a game rushing.
Yeah.
And, you know, they only give up, 141 passing, just over 200 yards a game. But, you know, I will say this, Gary, let's say this. I think they're really good. But a lot of people point to that schedule, which is strength of schedule right now.
Outside
is
of Kansas and South Carolina.
Yeah, it's 109.
Yeah.
Now, again, I still think they're a really, really good football team.
Yeah, they stop the run, and then they run it great. That's a combination that wins you a lot of football games. That's why they're 5-0. But also, they've got to defend Alabama. And let's just be honest. Alabama offensively right now, they're a handful. From schematics with Grubb to execution with the quarterback, Ty Simpson, big playability. Rodney, and they're shifting. They're getting people out flanked. The motion's giving people fits. Drinkwitz talked about today having to line up and defend this Alabama offense. And like I said, he agrees. It's a handful.
You know, I think obviously they do a lot of shifts and motions to try to uncover gaps or find a weak support player, which, you know, if you're weak in support against that offensive line, you know, that's a tough out. They're really big and physical. I think their offensive line coach Chris Kapilovic does a really good job. Obviously, the running backs got elite vision and toughness. And then, obviously, I think the biggest issue is you got to kind of pick your poison. Do you want to get beat in the pass game, or do you want to be light in the box and defend from explosive passes?
Yeah, Rod, a quick follow-up on that. It is right now for Alabama's opponents with what this offense is able to do, with all the playmakers, the offensive line blocking, the run game getting going, Ty Simpson maybe playing as well as any quarterback in the country. It's going to be difficult for Missouri on that side of the ball.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, again, they're really good, but like Vanderbilt, I think Vanderbilt kind of went light in the box a little bit to try to defend against that pass. And, you know, we saw them playing 2 deep a lot, sometimes 3 deep a couple of times.
Hot on the field. Hot on the recruiting trail. Alabama is racking up commitments. They're getting players that are reaffirming. 2027 commitment over the weekend. Nash Johnson from Powder Springs High School, well-known high school in McEachern, Georgia. Defensive back, 6 feet, 172 pounds. Rodney, what do you know about him?
Well, I mean, he's an athlete. I mean, he's really got all the tools. And he comes from a great program. If you can play there, you know, you're really good. And, you know, had a lot of schools after him. And, again, early commitment. We know it's 2027. It's a long way off.
All right, 2026 commit over the weekend as well. And another offensive lineman from another Georgia program, Banneker High School in the Atlanta area, 6'6", 305 pounds, Jared Doughty. I mean, again, he's got the size. This is a strong offensive line group Alabama's put together for 2026.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think he's a guy that's a fast riser. He's rated a 3-star player, but you mentioned his frame. Gary's got a lot of frame to fill out. He's over 6'5". He's over 300 pounds. And, you know, the last 3 or 4 weeks, I mean, he's picked up like Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama. So, look, it's all about development on the offensive line. He's got the tools.
And, of course, last week, Alabama got a commitment from an interior offensive lineman, Ja'Tori Williams from Central Phoenix City. So offensive line recruiting is going well. Also, Rodney, in this day and age, let's just be honest, the commitment used to kind of end things for the most part. Yeah. Now they have a commitment ceremony, but it's not really, I guess, official until they shut their recruitment down. But that happens. So Darian Morgan, Jet Tamala, Xavier Crowell, kind of a big 3, the quarterback, the wide receiver, and the running back, all confirmed that they're shutting down their recruiting, all committed to Alabama. Also, Tate and Kawa doing the same thing. So, again, they were committed, but until, I guess, they actually shut it down, you worry about it a little bit, but they all 4 did that.
Yeah, I think it gives these networks something else to kind of break the news, so to speak. But, no, I mean, I never really heard that any of those guys were shaky to begin with.
Yeah, recruiting network. You're committed, but you're going to keep your recruiting open, right? So then we can come back and do a story when you shut it all down. But just a great week for Alabama all the way around. Well, still to come on TITV, our weekly Bama in the NFL update. We'll take a look at some of the best performances from the week from Bama alums. And coming up next, your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, that phone number, 205-348-9882. We want to hear from you, TITV Nation. So give us a call. We'll be right back after this. Bama in the NFL, you know it's Bama versus Bama. Tua versus Bryce. Tua got off to a fast start in this one. The Dolphins were at 17-0, but give the Panthers credit. They hung in there, and Bryce led them on a game-winning drive, had a big fourth down completion there, and the Panthers wind up getting the win over the Dolphins. Here is the game-winning touchdown pass right there. Also in New Orleans, Kool-Aid McKinstry came up big for the Saints against the Giants. The Giants, watch this touchdown now. We like that touchdown. Here we go. Kool-Aid with a big pick here. He had two of them.
Wow.
As the Saints came back to beat the Giants in that one. And listen, the play of the day among Alabama alums is going to come on this play right here. Jahmyr Gibbs. Well, he's so good, Rodney. The power and the speed, the quickness. The Lions are a handful. They beat the Bengals 37-24. All right, let's get to some phone calls in just a moment. I do want to mention this. Had it on my 5 o'clock sports show. Condolences to the family of Mark Womack, longtime associate commissioner at the SEC. 1978 Alabama alum. He has passed away at the age of 70. Did an incredible job for many years in the Southeastern Conference office. All right, let's start off with Corey over in Trussville. Hey, Corey.
Good morning, Gary and Rodney. Good afternoon, Gary and Rodney. How are you doing this afternoon?
He's used to calling a radio show. Doing great, Corey. What you got?
Do y'all have confidence that we can slow down Ahmad Hardy? Because you're not going to shut him down, but enough to slow him down to where we can limit their offense to where they're not going to dictate turns and to where they can keep our offense off the field. Because that's going to be the key.
All right, Corey, yeah, great point. Rodney, can they limit Ahmad Hardy?
Well, I mean, I think if you can tackle him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've got to get him on the ground. I mean, because, again, Corey, I go back to what we said. 70% of their yards come after contact, and he's a big part of that. And you got to tackle him. You got to get him on the ground.
Yeah, can't let him run wild. That's for sure, Corey. That's a great point. Limit him. You're right. Limit him. Don't let him go off against your defense. All right, let's go over to Romulus and talk to our pal Tommy. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Ron, how are you tonight?
Doing great, man.
Well, good. The key problem I'm going to win Saturday is to tackle them guys to get on the ground and stop the running game and just time of possession. I mean, a lot of people have pointed out that Missouri give up a lot of yards in passing, but, you know, I want to balance the attack for Saturday. If we can do that, I like our chances very much.
Yeah, Tommy, we talked about that. Alabama fans are smart football fans. Yeah, you're going to have to limit their running game. Get them into some, like they did against Vanderbilt, get them into some situations where they've got to throw the football. And offensively, he's right. I mean, if you can be balanced, Ty Simpson, listen, he's playing at a high level. You get that running game going to complement him, and you're going to hit some big plays, I think.
Yeah, they're real aggressive defensively, too. They've got a couple of guys on the outside that can really pressure the passer, so Alabama's going to have to handle those guys.
All right, Rick and Brent, you hold tight. We'll get to you on the other side, plus our email question of the day. TITV will continue right after this timeout. All right, let's get to our email question of the day, and it's brought to you by KDM Service Corporation, serving your family like our family for all your heating and air conditioning needs. KDM Service Corporation. This was actually sent in during the show last week, in fairness to Michael, because we did sure some things up defensively. But yeah, he's right. And at times the defense has not looked fast. They've left the corners out there, kind of hung them out to dry. He wanted to attack the ball faster and not let teams run wild. Well, I think Alabama improved in all those areas.
I definitely did. I mean, and again, Gary, I think it's kind of feeling confident, knowing where you're supposed to be, being there, having that kind of confidence. And I thought they played with a lot of that on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought the second half defensively was the best half of football they played in a while around here. All right, let's go back out on the phone lines, and let's go over to Brent, Alabama, and talk to Rick. Hey, Rick.
Hey, how are y'all tonight?
Doing well.
Great. I just want to talk about the elephant in the room, about how come Ryan Williams has difficulty catching the ball I mean, he leads the SEC in drops, and I'm real worried about it.
All right, Rick. Well, let me say this, because he talked about it today and how hard he's working at it. He's such a talented player. He's dynamic. When he drops one, you remember it, okay? Think about some of the catches he makes where he snatches them with one hand or spinning around or pirouetting. He makes some incredible catches. He has dropped, particularly against Wisconsin and Georgia, surefire touchdowns.
Yeah.
One in the Iron Bowl last year against Auburn. I'm confident he'll get it fixed. Even with the drops, I still wouldn't swap him for very many wide receivers.
He's too good.
Yeah.
He's too good. You know, he'll get over that. I think he'll get past. He's made some tough catches, too.
He makes some sometimes where you drop your jaw.
Yeah,
you drop your jaw.
You want to write a story on that?
I may do that. All right, still to come on TITV. Prediction time for the Mizzou game. This is going to be a tough one. How do we see it playing out? We'll have our game picks for you when we return to TITV. I do want to let people in on the inside joke. When you said, do I want to write a story about Ryan Williams? Years ago, Julio had dropped a couple balls, and I wrote a story on Tider Insider. As great as he was, and listen, I think he's great. I said, you got
fried.
Need to tighten up a little bit. That was the last story I wrote on Tider Insider for a while. The mob came after me, buddy. Let me tell you.
For days.
Woo, they were rough. Prediction time.
Yeah. Hey, look, I mean, Alabama's going into a raucous atmosphere. I think one of the keys is, withstanding that first 15, 20 plays, the script that I know Missouri's going to come at and be very aggressive. Alabama's got to withstand that and slow down that run game. I've got Alabama 33-24.
That's some good analysis right there, Rodney. I'll tell you, I'm kind of right there with you. I think it's going to be a hard-fought football game. I have no thoughts of Alabama going in there and blowing this team out. But I do think if you can win at Georgia and snap the Bulldogs' 33-game home winning streak, you should be able to go into Farragut Field and win at Como. So I'm picking Alabama 35-28. I think the Tide gets it done and gets to 3-0 in the SEC. And if that happens, it's going to be another Victory Tuesday come Tuesday night. We don't even want to think about the alternative.
That's right.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of TITV. A reminder, you can catch a replay tonight at 10:30 or find it anytime at WVUA23.com. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Good night, everybody.